Hey everybody, I want you to go to heavensharvest.com, promo code Kandiss, and I want you to get prepped. We don't know what's coming, who knows, but regardless whether it's a hurricane, national disaster, or the whole government shuts down, they have awesome deals on freeze-dried food. In fact, they have a new item. It's freeze-dried cans. It's a lot less expensive than the big barrels. Go there, heavensharvest.com, promo code Kandiss, and check them out.
Because if you really tell the people how bad it is right now with the situation of food, like not just in this country, but in this world, if they were really honest right now and told you how bad it was, it would create complete havoc all over the globe.
Hey everybody, welcome to Jesus, Guns, and Babies. And today I have a very special guest on for our show. His name is Clayton and he owns Heaven's Harvest. And if you have seen my show, I've had advertisements on for him. Stu Peters has advertisements on for him. And it's not just because we like Clayton, which we do love Clayton, but he has an excellent product and it is very good for what you spend, the amount that you get and the quality. And so we're going to talk about that product today, and we're going to talk about business in general. I spent a whole day with him where he lives in North Georgia, and he taught me a lot about business that I didn't know because I'm an educator. Y'all know I'm not a businesswoman, but I learned so much from him, and I came back and shared it with my husband, who does love doing stuff on the side business wise with growing. He thinks he's a botanist. If y'all don't know, Ryan has this tree farm, magnificent trees. He loves it. So I brought all kind of seeds home from another business that Clayton has. And so you're going to just be in for a treat today. We're going to start with a scripture. And I chose this one about being prepared. Proverbs 24:27. Prepare your work outside. Get everything ready for yourself in the field. And after that, build your house. So the Lord thinks it's good that we be prepared. So I think that it's fitting that we're prepared in life because we don't know what's going to happen. The world's kind of crazy. If you've seen anything going on with everybody falling over dead after they've had 1, 2, or 3 of these shots, then you would probably agree that we don't know what's going on. And then FBI raiding this and all the things going on with the FBI, I don't even know, and all the lawsuits and all the crazy things. It's like every single day, my news article is popping up on my phone. I'm just taken back. So anyway, this show is going to be so helpful for you. We're not going to be in fear. We're going to be in faith, and we're going to have a wonderful life here on earth. And Clayton's going to help us do that. So Clayton, welcome to Jesus, Guns, and Babies. I'm so glad you're joining me.
Thanks for having me, Kandiss.
And I haven't been on here in a week, and I'm like talking. So I want you to start out, and I want you to tell us, you're not from Georgia, but I want you to tell us where you're from and kind of what brought you to Georgia.
Well, that's from the beginning, I guess. Grew up in Western Maryland, moved to Florida in my early 20s, and that's kind of, the 20s is when you start your career, you figure things out. Lived in Florida for 15 years, and then we moved to North Georgia. Got married and had kids, and that's what brought us to North Georgia. I love Florida. Just North Georgia is a little more Jesus, guns, and babies, if you know what I mean. So
well, you wouldn't think so based on who we have in office, right? You wouldn't think so, because it looks like Florida now has like stepped it up with Ron DeSantis, and we're sitting over here struggling.
Ron DeSantis is killing it, man. I mean, I love the guy. I don't know if you saw him at like the Led Zeppelin concert the other night. I mean, the crowd went crazy, like for a conservative governor, the Led Zeppelin concert, like in the middle of Florida. Like he's doing a heck of a job.
I missed that, but I will have to go and watch that on YouTube or Rumble or somewhere. Somebody will have it. That's awesome. I'm not surprised. He's a patriot. You can't help but like him. And anyway, so you moved from Florida, you come to Georgia, but I like what you said, because Georgia is Jesus, Guns, and Babies. In fact, you saw that on a bumper sticker today, and that was awesome. Made my day.
I did send you a picture of it because it was ironic. 5 minutes from the shop here, and there's a Jesus, Guns, and Babies bumper sticker sitting in front of me. So,
and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go on her show today. So talk to us about how you got into business, because really I was being serious in the beginning. I did learn a lot from you, and I piqued your brain and asked a bunch of questions, but take us back to how you got into, and you have several businesses and companies, and just talk to us about how you got involved in that.
We do. It's kind of, I guess that's everything in life. It's not just one idea that sets it in motion. When I was in Florida, we were working construction, had a little construction company. And then when 2008 hit, I started to work for some of the farmers down there. And then in Florida, I don't know if a lot of people know it or not, but Florida's like got a huge agricultural section in it. I mean, the center of Florida, people, when they go to Florida, they go to Disney World or the beach. Well, everything in between there is cattle and farmland. I mean, it's huge. I think Florida's the seventh largest, or holds seven of the 25 biggest ranches in the country. Like, it's incredible what's down there. But I started working for those farmers down there, and a lot of them were vegetable farmers. They'd have 10, 20, 30,000 acres of tomatoes or peppers or something like, what I mean? Just any kind of vegetable you can think of. Well, while we were down there is about the time I got married and had our first child. And I watched these farms every day getting sprayed with chemicals. I mean, just 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, just tractors constantly running, constantly spraying. Like, and that kind of like piqued my interest into what are we really eating? Like what can you possibly spray on this plant that is killing everything around it? The plant is fine. And then I'm eating that tomato or I'm eating that pepper. Like, so that kind of got me started into the vegetable side of it. Like, what are we putting in our bodies? And it kind of evolved from there to where we had one of our past presidents get in office, Obama, and I got concerned about the security in the world and this and that, and there were hurricanes in Florida, so that got me into like looking at survival food. And I had purchased some survival food from another company, and I'm not going to mention their name, but when I got that survival food in, like it was what they had advertised and what I had got were two different things. When I started adding up the calories and what was really there, I was pretty upset with it. It was a lot of drink mixes. The container felt really good, felt really heavy, and when you opened it up, it was beans and rice. Why are you selling me beans and rice for survival food? Like, I'm expecting good meals here, and I'm like something more than a drink mix. So that got me one way, and then we had these seeds. I was messing around with these heirloom seeds, you know what I mean, like a real true heirloom seed, not something that's been genetically modified or a hybrid, like a real heirloom seed. And I realized, wait a second, regardless of how much food I buy, at the end of the day, that will run out. You've got to have something else that you can, sustain yourself with for the long haul. And these
Like,
heirlooms.
I want you to go back and ask. I want to ask you because you were specific about this before. This kind of blew my mind on the prepper food that you received. Talk about how the serving size was, because that's what blew my mind when you were telling me, and help me understand the difference in what you provide, because I wouldn't have known that until I received it in the mail too, and I'd have been like, "What is this?" But about how small it was.
Well, nobody regulates serving sizes, like the USDA or the FDA or whoever. Nobody regulates the serving size. So if a lot of these prepper companies, what they'll do is they'll say you need 3 servings of food a day, a breakfast, lunch, and a dinner. Well, they'll take that three, multiply that by every day in the year or every day in the month, and say, hey, look, you got a month's worth of food here. You know what I mean? If you're looking for a month, we've got 90 servings of food in here. Well, because nobody regulates that serving size, some of those serving size were literally like a tablespoon of food. Nobody's going to survive off of a tablespoon of food. You know what I mean? Like, we need calories to survive. We need, someone like you could probably get by on 1,500 calories a day. I may need 2,000. That's just to survive. Well, they weren't counting that at all. All they were doing was counting serving sizes. So it's really a bad way to advertise a product, and especially a product that could save your life.
It's enough to make you mad.
It made me mad.
One serving size, like one spoonful, you're like, "Are you kidding me? I'm starving to death. You'd be better off fasting." But go back to the heirloom seeds, because understanding that is different. And I think I was asking questions about the GMO and the difference in, but anyway, the way you described it was perfect, and now I understand it. So go back and explain the difference in those.
The seed kit, and again, the seed kit started because I was just trying to feed my kids something healthy, as opposed to these Roundup Ready crops that we're eating right now. But an heirloom seed is a seed that's been growing the same crop or the same produce for the last 75 years. It hasn't been altered. It hasn't been mixed with another plant. The GMOs are like kind of an altered seed. A hybrid seed is one where they take two different seeds and they'll take the offspring of that, and that's what you grow. The heirlooms like are a true vegetable seed. These are the seeds that our grandparents grew back in the day when you ate a piece of fruit or vegetable and like you actually tasted it. A lot of the stuff today we get on the shelf, it looks pretty, but it's just there's no flavor to it. It's just bland. These are all modified, like
And
the
it goes bad in like 2 days. We're talking about bananas, like they go bad literally in 2 days. They'll be green to like spotted. What happened to bananas? Why is it doing that?
look, this is a true story. There's a gentleman up here in our town, and he won a show. He won a survival show on TV, and him and I worked together a good bit. And I went over to his house one afternoon, and he had a squash laying on the floor that he had picked about 8 months prior. And it had been sitting on his floor in his living room. And again, it's an heirloom, but had been waiting. He ate through a wheelbarrow of them. This was the last one he had, and it was about 8 months old. When I picked it up, I'm like, you couldn't convince me you didn't pick this thing yesterday. So it's completely different crops from what we're used to. Like it's, and I'm not going to say that all our stuff's going to last 8 months. You know what I mean? That squash was a pretty unique squash. It's actually something that Cherokees used to eat, but like this stuff it's more of a hardy produce than what we get today.
But it does tell them about the seeds. Like, so I got seeds from you from my husband, and I said he loves that. He grafts and does all kinds of stuff with seeds. But when we grow, let's say we have your watermelon. So we grow this watermelon, and then we can take those seeds and then we can grow them again. So that's how I understand it now. So the seeds out of the vegetables and fruit we grow, we can actually replant them and grow more.
And you'll get the same fruit that you got the year before. There's seed companies. I'll tell you what, Candice, it's been really interesting, like this whole journey. You know what I mean? Like what started out as like just something I was doing in my backyard has turned into my passion. Like this the seeds we buy today are controlled by about 4 companies in the country. Well, if you can buy one of their seeds today and keep harvesting the same seed out of your produce and plant it again the following year, those places are out of business. They can't sell fertilizer, they can't sell the chemicals that you need to grow it. Like it's a whole industry to feed us. You know what I mean? And it's not good stuff.
Kind of like the pharmaceutical companies. Like if they make us sick and they don't actually heal us, like with root medicine and vitamins and things that are holistic, if they can just give us the synthetic medicine and keep us sick, we keep coming back as consumers, right?
There's no money in a cure.
So same thing. That's horrible. That's horrible to think about our food that way. But that's why I thought it was so important for you to have a long interview to get this out, because you have this wealth of knowledge. And I know the people listening to this right now are like, oh my gosh, they want to know more. And they're having all these questions. So hold on, guys. I'm going to try to think of everything that I thought of the day I was with Clayton, because I asked 5,000 questions. But it's important. This is going to save people's life.
It absolutely will. And I don't think people realize like the peril this country's in right now. And I we'll get to that, but I want to get back to the seeds real quick. There's really like, I don't want to say 3 basic seeds, but there's 3 basic seeds. You've got heirloom seeds, you've got hybrids, and you've got GMO seeds. A GMO seed has been modified by a scientist in a lab. If you grow a piece of corn, pull a corn out of it, throw it in the ground, you're not going to get anything. It's never going to grow again. The hybrid seeds, what they'll do is they'll take like a tomato, for instance, they'll take a tomato over here that's little tiny and red, and they'll take another plant that grows this great big green tomato that never gets red. Well, they'll mix those seeds together, and now you got a great big red tomato. Doesn't taste like anything. There's no nutrition. The nutritional value's almost been shot in it, but you've got a great big red tomato that looks perfect sitting on the grocery store shelf. If you take the seed out of that tomato, and try to plant it, it reverts back to one of the parents. So you're either going to get a little tiny red tomato or you're going to get a great big green tomato. Those are
Wow.
hybrids. Now that's a generic version of it, but for the most part, that's a hybrid seed. The heirloom seeds, they're seeds by God's design. This is what God created. This is what he intended. Like I said, 75 years to be considered a hybrid. It hasn't been manipulated by a scientist. If you spray Roundup on it, you're going to kill it. This isn't a Roundup ready crop. Like, I mean, these are seeds by God's design.
75 years, y'all. This is like an anomaly. We had to protect these things.
Well, and we do. You know what I mean? Like there's places all over now trying to protect these seeds from big seed companies, from the government. Like it's I told Stu this one day. I'll almost guarantee you in our lifetime we'll see these things banned or outlawed, because companies like Monsanto or Bayer, these huge companies, want to control our food. The government wants to control our food, what we're eating. And if you can, what they'll do is they'll say this heirloom seed is pollinating one of Monsanto's corn crops. We can't have it, and they'll make you get rid of it. Like I honestly believe that's coming down the pike. They're controlling everything else in our lives. Food's the last thing they're trying for, and they're doing a really good job of doing it. Really good job.
Yeah, I want to point this out right here. So, what Clayton's saying is that this is another issue that we have to push for and fight to protect. This is our freedom. It's our freedom to have access to healthy, whole food. And I know that's crazy. We're fighting for gun rights, we're fighting against abortion, and we're fighting to keep, our First Amendment freedom of speech, and we're pushing for all these things. But in reality, in our right to have fair, secure elections, what about that?
Yeah.
We also have to fight for our right to protect our food. So we have accessibility to whole food that's healthy. Isn't that sad, y'all? This is where we are. And so people like Clayton that have taken this on as a passion, he has other companies, he can talk about those too later, but he has other things. He doesn't have to do this, but he's passionate about it because he knows there's a need there and he cares about being free. You love the country, you're a patriot. And so this is a little niche that you have, and this is your way of fighting back.
Kandiss, this became more than a niche. I mean, like I said, this whole thing got started probably back in 2008 as a way to feed my kids healthy food. And then, like I said, we got hit with hurricanes. We had an Obama presidency that really, shook the roots of this nation. And I had ordered survival food. It was an absolute joke. And then when I started to put together good survival food, I realized this stuff could run out. I need an ultimate tool. And that's where the heirloom seeds that I was just trying to feed my kids healthy food, that's where the heirloom seed kit came into place, because that heirloom seed kit is a lifetime of food. One of our seed kits could probably plant a 3 or 4 acre garden for $139. And again, you can freeze it, you can store it, it'll last up to 10 years. Like, it's the ultimate tool in a survival situation. And I mean, you've seen movies and you've heard people talk about it. Those seeds could become currency someday. Like, and there's a lot of truth to that.
I love it. I think it's awesome. It's great. So let's go back and talk more about the prepper food. I know, so the seed company is one company and the prepper food's another company, and they go hand in hand because that kind of led you down the path of that.
They kind of started out that way. They're all under one umbrella now, Heaven's Harvest. Again, the food, I said I was upset about it. We put together food buckets that, will actually do what they say they're going to do. I've eliminated the rice and the beans and the drink mixes. And we've just got good, wholesome food in these buckets now.
And so one of your buckets, and people will see those, they're like, oh my gosh, they're so expensive, but they don't understand that when you add water, they're freeze dried. So kind of explain that to them, that process.
It is. It's freeze drying is it's an extensive process. You'll go to the grocery store and you can find like dehydrated apples or dehydrated bananas, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to get food to last 25 years, you need to freeze dry it, and it's actually a better process. When you freeze dry food, it doesn't lose like the nutritional value. When you dehydrate things, it does. So this food is actually stuck in like a vacuum chamber. All the moisture is sucked out of it. I mean, like pretty much every last drop. And when you remove the moisture from it is when you're able to store it for 25 years. We have it stored in like Mylar foil bags. That's the stuff they send to space for the astronauts. So it's stored in a Mylar foil bag. It comes in a bucket. Like, it's like a 4-gallon stackable square bucket, so you don't eat up wasted space. but it's good food. We've eaten all the meal. Like before I did anything, I made sure my kids liked the meals. I liked the meals. Everybody always asked, what's it taste like? Is it good? And like the best thing I can compare it to is like, the soups you get from the grocery store that you put in a pan and add water to it. They're along that. They taste kind of like that kind of stuff, like the Lipton soups and stuff. So I
Yeah.
mean, this isn't like the old survival food where people had to choke on MREs or anything like that. Like this is actually we eat it all the time. I mean, if we're headed out of town or something, we just went to Wyoming and I took some buckets out there and we went hiking and we sat down in the middle of the woods during the day and what uh, a bag of food that weighs 8 ounces, you can get water out of the creek and boil it and dump a bag of food in there. And I fed 7 people off of a bag of food.
Wow.
So it's got a lot of uses for it. The survival part of it was the big thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, that's the hurricanes in Florida scared me. I mean, being from Maryland, you moved to Florida, and you saw they just got hit again, and I can guarantee you, there's a lot of people thinking, "Man, I wish I had a hot meal." But it didn't become apparent to me how important this stuff was until we had it on our shelves and we started Heaven's Harvest. There was a hurricane coming through, and everybody's freaking out. You know what I mean? Like everybody's running to the grocery store looking for milk, eggs, and butter. I'm like, I don't know what they do with milk, eggs, and bread. Like I'm thinking, does everybody make French toast after a hurricane, or what's going on here? But basically, when that hurricane came through and everybody was running to the store to get stuff, like we had stuff. Like I had that peace of mind, and it like that's when it became real to me. Like this stuff is nice. We buy insurance for our house, we buy insurance for our car, we buy insurance for our bodies, but who has food insurance? I can promise you that house insurance doesn't mean a thing if you're starving. So like that's when the whole thing came together to me. I was like, you know what, we could really help a lot of people with this. And we've grown tremendously since then. Like it's whether we're talking to people that want to eat healthy, want to feed their kids healthy with our heirloom seed kits, or people that are, worried about what's ahead and they want the survival food. And I can tell you right now, in 10 years of doing this, I've always had survival food at my warehouse. I've never worried about it. This is the first time that I've actually taken food off the shelf and taken it to my house because we're not in a good situation right now. And I want to make sure my family has got food set aside for us too. So it's
Amen.
been an interesting journey.
Yes. And I was thinking about, I was thinking two different things. My mom was going two different ways, but I was thinking about the food and all of these hunters and how opening days coming next weekend. And so they go on all these big hunting trips. This is perfect for them to take with them, light, and it tastes good. And so all my hunters that are watching this, I expect y'all to order this right now and then tell me how you like it. So that was one thing. And then I was also thinking about the seeds and how I want you to talk about, because when I went through there, I was like, I'm just gonna get a few, Clayton, and I'll pay you for them. You're like, no, you just get what you want. And I'm going through, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want this, this, and this. Like it's good stuff. Like it's so good, and I cannot wait to grow the watermelon, like the baby sugar watermelon. You were talking about how good those are. So talk about some of your favorite ones and the things that people are telling you are the best.
Well, you just nailed probably my favorite right there, the sugar baby watermelon. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not a big watermelon. I mean, they're only maybe twice the size of a softball. But when you eat a watermelon today, you get, an inch away from the rind and it's like, throw that out. Like, I mean, like people don't remember what vegetables are supposed to taste like. Like that sugar baby watermelon, like you'll eat it down to the rind and you'll be one to eat the rind. I mean, they're delicious. The tomatoes, we carry 3 different kinds of tomatoes, a cherry, a Roma, and a beefsteak. Like I'm a big tomato guy. I really love tomatoes. I can sit in the garden and eat them right off the vine.
Apple.
So that's exactly. I'll turn them into an apple. And my daughters are the same way now. Like it's funny. My wife doesn't really care for tomatoes, but me and my daughters, like we insist upon tomatoes from the garden. So
It's my favorite vegetable. I love tomatoes so much. And I told you about growing them in hay. I'm going to send you like the directions for how to do that. But I want to take yours and put it in hay because they're so acidic in the hay. And I want to see like a real nutritious tomato and see what it tastes like in there.
well, and like the seed kit, there's 39 different varieties in that seed kit. And a lot of people can't sit down right now and name 39 different vegetables. When you start naming them off, like, oh yeah, okay, I got that. But like, it's a tremendous amount of seeds in the kit, and like I said, it'd probably go a 3 to 4 acre garden with what's in there. We've got a bigger seed kit that's got triple the amount of seeds in it. That thing's probably close to a 10-acre garden. So it's a great value. It's great insurance. It's a healthy meal if you're looking, that aspect of it. The hunters, like you said, we've sold buckets to lots of hunters. Our entree bucket is a big choice with them because we don't mix our meat in our meals. The meats only carry a 15-year shelf life. So we actually keep them separated out of the bucket so that the bucket has a 25-year shelf life with your main courses. And a lot of the hunters will take those main courses like our stroganoff, and they'll go out and be sitting at camp and kill a deer and cut the tenderloin off, and now they have deer stroganoff. So it mixes in good with a lot of game in the field.
Oh, that's cool. See, I'm helping the hunters. This is like a man's show today. This is good.
Well, that's you'd be shocked. I mean, a lot of these guys heading out west, or even in our neck of the woods, you don't want to tote in, 100 pounds of food. One of these buckets weighs 9 pounds, and it'll feed one guy for a month. Like, I mean, that's plenty of food to tote in, and it's 9 pounds on your back.
Well, my sister loves to hunt too. I should better not say that. She'll say, okay, now what am I? Because she's a huge hunter and she can out hunt her husband when she wants to. She's awesome. So women and men, but I feel like this is good because you know, because men are to be the head of the house, and that's your role, and you're the protector and the provider and spiritual covering. To me, as a woman, like we want to make sure our family's taken care of and we want to make sure we have something to feed them. But I think this is even beyond like a woman's role. It's kind of for a man to say, hey, I'm going to make sure my family has food because you make sure you eat to provide shelter. And it's almost like it kind of satisfies that man's role. It's awesome. I think it's great. And I think the men are going to love this show. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm excited. So, okay. So I want you to talk more about your companies and how you in business, Clayton, and you kind of spread your time, but even how, because when I went to your warehouse, and they're going to show footage of that, and they may be doing that right now, but when I went to your warehouse, you were almost completely empty because you're getting it in and it's selling as fast as you get it in. So I want you to kind of talk about that process a little bit.
It is. It's been a crazy 2 years since COVID hit. I mean, it's obviously in business you don't want to carry any more inventory than you have to. You know what I mean? That's kind of it's a juggling act. I mean, anybody that's done anything knows that. But this stuff. It's kind of it's this business is it's like a roller coaster. You know what I mean? And it's when it's up, it's up. When it's down, it's down. And it's sad, but it takes some kind of a catastrophe to wake people up. Um, that's the only part I hate about this. Like if we think about this, if you're always getting ready, you never have to prepare. It's one of those things that it something will happen. A hurricane will hit in Florida, or we'll start seeing gas prices go through the roof, or the news might start coming out about we're in a 1,200-year drought. The corn in the Midwest is barely reaching over the fence. I mean, it's going to take something for people to wake up, and that's the only thing I don't really like about this business is it will wait for something to happen, and everybody is, oh my gosh, we got to get it. So you're constantly juggling that, but you also want to make sure that if people need it, you have it. But it's like I said, since 2020, we haven't been able to keep up. And now we're seeing before where I used to be able to get this stuff and get the ingredients and have it ready in a couple weeks. Now we're having a hard time finding ingredients, and it's progressively getting worse. And I don't think I know we haven't seen the worst of it yet. We've had the high diesel prices, all through the spring. And like, that's another thing people don't realize is like what we're eating today didn't come out of the ground yesterday. What you're buying from the grocery store today came out of the ground 6 months ago. So we've gone through high diesel prices in the spring when they were planting this stuff, so that's already increased the cost right there. Our diesel prices are still crazy. So when they picked it out of the fields and sent it to the production facilities, that's gone up. Inflation's through the roof. So everything that goes into that food, whether it's a cardboard box, the plastic bag wrapping it up, the knife that the guy used to cut the produce up or cut the meat up went through the roof. It's crazy. We've invaded Ukraine. So now our fertilizer prices are absolutely insane. Like this is all increasing the cost of food, and it's making it a lot harder to get it. 2/3 of fertilizer production in Europe has already been shut down. Like I don't people don't realize, but fertilizer is what feeds this world. I read something the other day that nitrogen fertilizer is responsible for half the food that feeds this world. Like the guy that invented that is like credited for bringing in like several billion people to this world because we can feed them now. With 2/3 of the fertilizer in Europe already shut off, like it's causing our food prices to skyrocket. And that's the food we're able to get. I mean, without fertilizer, this stuff doesn't grow in a lot of regions in the world. So it's all over the place right now, and it's been really hard to manage it. I can tell you we've got probably two or three semis on their way to our warehouse right now. So we'll be stocked back up probably before this airs.
You're gonna give me some footage, so hopefully y'all are gonna see that on here, because Clayton's gonna film that this week for us so we can see when it comes in and the massive amount he gets. But I think another thing, Clayton, that's happened is we see on the news constantly where there's fires and explosions at food processing facilities. It seems purposeful. Doesn't make sense. I never remember seeing that, ever until this year. And it's like constantly another food processing plant or another place that has food. It's like blown up. And it's scary. It makes you wonder if it's purposeful. So we have to be purposeful and being prepared.
No, you're absolutely right. Like we're over 100 different food processing facilities that have been burnt down right now. I mean, who's doing this? Why are they doing it? Nobody has any real answers. Nobody's investigating it because nobody died. Like that's insane to me. I mean, this is what we eat. This is where our food comes from, and we're not even investigating this stuff because nobody died. And I'm grateful nobody died. I mean, I'm not saying, I wish that happened, but because nobody's getting hurt, we're not even investigating these fires. I mean, this reminds me of the guys running around, was it North Carolina a few years back, that were turning the heat up on all the chickens, killing, millions and millions of chickens. Like, who's doing this? Why are they doing it right now? Just the situation that this country's in, like, honestly scares me right now. Like
it's
I said,
a perfect storm.
It's a perfect storm.
Like everything you mentioned as you were talking about all those aspects and facets of what's going on with the economy and the fertilizer and all this. And I kept hearing the Lord say, and all the factories blowing up. And so it's like a perfect storm, and it feels purposeful. It feels purposeful to me as a public school educator that's just trying to raise my family. It feels purposeful.
No, absolutely. I believe this is all part of like the UN Agenda 2030. Like this is absolutely where they want this to go. This is where they're leading us. We're following right behind them. Go get your COVID shot. Okay. Like how many of us run out and get a COVID shot, and now you see hundreds of athletes dying on the field. I mean, like it's crazy how brainwashed we are as a society just to step in line and follow.
And students, there was a student that died today. I saw like a 17-year-old that was like in chorus or drama and fell over. So it's athletes, it's young people. And when you were saying nobody's died, so they're not investigating these factories, these food production places that are blowing up. But Clayton, we have people falling over dead, and it's died suddenly. They died unexpectedly. They died suddenly. They died suddenly. And we're seeing that everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And that's why Stu Peters, our good friend, is doing this documentary that's coming out next month, because it is horrible. This is evil. It's demonic. And that's what's happening. They're killing people, and there's no investigation. So of course they're not going to investigate how we feed ourselves. And you're right, Clayton. It's going to kill us because we're not going to have food.
They're not even talking about how bad this is right now. And I can't say I blame them, because if you really tell the people how bad it is right now with the situation of food, like not just in this country, but in this world, if they were really honest right now and told you how bad it was, it would create complete havoc all over the globe. I mean, it's
panic and hysteria.
Yeah, this is extremely serious right now. Like this is worse than I've ever seen it. Like, I mean, we've got people at the UN saying there's going to be famines in 2023. You know what I mean? Like, leaders don't talk about this. Joe Biden, he slipped up and mentioned that they had, talked about, what are they going to do with the food supply going into the next year? Like, I mean, this is serious stuff that nobody's talking about.
And we have no idea what it's like to be hungry. We don't have any idea. We say things like, I'm starving, I'm so hungry. We have no clue. And not saying I could lose 20 pounds, because I would love to lose 20 pounds, but not in starvation. I don't want my children hungry. I don't want your children hungry. That makes me so angry to think about this being done. And we have to educate ourselves and know. And that's why I wanted you on this show. I wanted you to educate the people, because they don't know. And I left you that day in North Georgia feeling hopeful that you have this business and you're providing this, but I felt helpless in that I can't do anything about it. And I don't even think some of the farmers know how bad it is. Some of them know, but if they're cotton farmers or peanut farmers or soybean farmers, maybe they don't know this aspect of farming.
Kandiss, I'll be honest with you. I think every farmer this year has felt it. The United States is in a 1,200-year drought.
Wow.
Mississippi is so low, barges of soybeans are being stuck in the mud because they can't move. The little bit of food we do have, we can't even get into processing facilities. Like
So
I
they
said,
know.
oh, they know. Every one of them knows. I mean, every one of them knows. I think we've had like 104 weeks of like the worst drought on record. You know what I mean? Like, they call them hunger stones in Europe, are being seen in the rivers because the rivers in Europe are so low right now. It's just, and again, I don't believe in global warming. Like, I believe the Earth climate has gone up and down. You know what I mean? We had an ice age 12,000 years ago. Well, who's that? Who's to blame for that? Like, it just, I don't fall for any of that. It goes in cycles, and we're in a drought right now. The west coast of the United States, the Colorado River, I mean, they're fighting over who gets water from that. Las Vegas, like, if you live in Las Vegas right now, like, I'd be seriously considering where I'm going to get my drinking water in the next couple of years. But you got places like Pakistan that had record floods and destroyed 80% of the crops in Pakistan. Everybody, again, oh, what's Pakistan have to do with us? We're a world economy now. The fertilizer prices in Ukraine are a huge deal to us, a huge deal. When half the world's fertilizer comes out of Ukraine and Russia and that region, like, that affects everybody. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why we're doing it, but I can tell you the outcome isn't going to be good. I mean, we're releasing oil from the strategic reserves to drive the price of oil down right now, which is insane. Like, we've got it here. Let's open it up. Let's drill. But instead, we're increasing the cost of our goods. We're driving people, to the poverty line. I think there's like a 13.5% inflation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till you see the cost of food from now until Christmas. It's going to be insane. And the thing is, like I said, we just drove across the country. I just drove from Georgia to Wyoming. I went after cornfield after cornfield. Everywhere we stopped, like, I'm in the food business. Like, I stop and talk to the farmers, where you might drive by and say hi. Like, the product I sell comes out of his field. Like, stop and talk to him. How's it been this year? What's it like? Like, I stood at cornfields that have a 4-foot fence in front of them, and most of the corn could barely make it over the top of that fence. It's time to be harvested right now, and it's barely 4 foot tall. This stuff, we're usually talking a crop that's 8, 9, 10 feet tall. It's barely 4 feet. Several farmers out there were just tilling the crop under. It's not even worth paying the companies with the combines to come harvest it, because it's going to cost them more to harvest it than they're going to get out of the field. And again, we're not seeing this today. We're not going to see this for 5, 6, 7 months down the road. It's extremely bad right now, and I can't emphasize how bad it is right now. I emphasize enough how bad it's going to get. And I'm not one of those people.
You're not pessimistic. You're not. I had tears in my eyes because I love the farmers so much. I've grown up in Georgia. I've lived in South Georgia all of my life. My cousins are farmers right on the road, huge farmers. Farmers they're what they feed us. And so if they all know, they're aware how bad this is. I know the weight these men have on their shoulders. Like I know that they're hurting and they're worried. And so it breaks my heart, first of all, for them. But I'm very concerned about our country. I'm concerned about children that I see at school and children who don't have even what my kids have and the means to do it. What they live in the projects or in a small apartment, they can't grow food. They have no land to grow food. You know, at least my family has a couple acres that we can grow food on. This is so scary, Clayton.
Kandiss, I'm telling you, it's people have no idea how bad this is going to get. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't push fear on people. I refuse to sell my product that way.
No, you're very positive. I was going to say that you're very upbeat, happy. Like that's who you are. So hearing this gravity from you is like getting me.
This is go time. I mean, we're so numb to what's going on in the world around us. Like, do we realize how bad the situation is with Russia right now? Like, there's the potential of a nuclear war right now. You know what I mean? Like, we have given Putin no way out. No way. You know what I mean? He has no off ramp to this war. He's not going to look bad. I mean, we're insisting he give Crimea back and like all this. He's not doing that. Where's this going to go? Where, I mean, what's his out here? Like, I'm petrified that he's going to drop a nuke. What happens when he does that? Well, we drop one, and then he drops one, and we drop one. Like, but nobody's like talking about this. I mean, you've got one of the craziest men in the world. I mean, we all know this. It's documented. We've seen him. If he says he's going to do it, he does it. Is anybody talking about that? Is anybody concerned about it? Are our politicians trying to, back off of this? No, we're bombing his pipelines, like blowing up his natural gas supply. Like,
No, they're still arguing about 2020 because I know they cheated. And they're still on a witch hunt for January 6th, and they're still doing all of this stuff for deflection. If you know you won, you're not talking about 2020 anymore. You know you won, you're running the country. But they know they didn't, and they know it's going to come out. And all they're doing is just buying time. But while they're doing that and playing these sick, twisted games to keep control, the whole world's falling apart. And you're exactly right. It could kill all of us.
it could kill all of us. I don't. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to push fear on anybody. I don't want to sell my product that way. But the world we're living in right now scares the bejesus out of me. Like,
Honestly, Clayton, you don't have to try to sell your product because you're selling more than you can even get right now. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't even buy any the day I was there because you had nothing because everything's already promised out. And the reality of this is, I wanted my viewers, my people that support me and follow me, and I love these people watching this show right now. I want them to have the opportunity to know about this so they can prepare for their family. And I thought that's my little part I can do for them, and they can get in line of your orders and get something sustainable that they can use for their family.
honestly, I know that you said this is going to air in a couple days, or I mean, this is pre-recorded. Everybody, I'm sure, knows that. But like, like I said, we've got semis coming in right now that we'll have product for probably 2 weeks, and that'll be gone too. And I've already ordered. I've got orders out 6 months behind. You know what I mean? Like, I've got orders for 6 months. We just happen to be doing this in the middle of semis coming in full of food. I've got the ladies in the shop packing as many seeds as they can possibly pack.
His ladies from his church, good little Jesus loving ladies. I love them. They were so sweet. But you know what, Clayton, this is God because we've put this interview off several times because we had things going on. And so, how this is going to hit is going to be where they can order from you and actually not be rejected, maybe, hopefully, we'll pray. But it's hitting at this time. And I think it's so important because there's going to be somebody watching this, multiple people that do not have any prepper food. They don't have anything. They don't have a yard or, acreage to grow. And so they're going to need this. And this is going to be a lifesaver for them, literally.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and Kandiss, I get that all the time. I don't have anywhere to grow. You know what I mean? I don't have a yard. Like, there's plenty of products now where if you live in an apartment, you can grow a tremendous amount of food on your balcony. You can grow it in front of a window. Any little bit you can add helps. And like I said, I'm trying to do this to where it's affordable for everybody, like help as much as we possibly can. We just added these number 10 cans to our product line. They start at $17 a can. And I think it's a little bigger than a 1 gallon container. But again, the product in there is freeze dried and dehydrated. So that 1 gallon container, you'll probably add roughly 2 to 3 gallons of water to it to reconstitute the food. So, I mean, you're getting 2 to 3 gallons of food for $17. It starts at 17, depending on it can go up from there, but there's plenty of stuff on there that you can, stick in a shelf somewhere, stick it in your closet somewhere in case you need it. And I pray you don't need it. But when the time comes and you do need it, you're going to wish you had it.
And that's affordable. The cans are affordable. And I know those big buckets. So if you have, and I want you to say this too, but I was just going to say for me, if you can afford a big bucket, I'm definitely getting some cans. I want to get one bucket and then I'm going to get some cans so we can have a little bit of variety in case something happens. But tell people, and that's what I can afford. I mean, I'm a public school educator. My husband is too. We're on a budget. So I can't have all these different varieties. And I get that. And people say that to me. They're like, I can't afford it. I'm like, well, he has cans coming out that you can't afford. So we have to, be thankful that you got this to meet this need, but we have to use common sense and do enough to try to get by. But what would you recommend bare minimum that people should get of a family of 4?
Oh, I hate to say bare minimum. Like I try to be ready for 3 months is what I've put back. 3 months will get me through till I can get a garden producing something. And again, depending on the time of the year, for some folks that may, I mean, if you're living in Minnesota, you may want to, think about more than that. But like I said,
Stu, 6 months, buddy. You hear that?
Well, there's Eskimos warmer than him, I think.
That's right.
It all depends on where you live. Like I said, you can't possibly buy enough survival food to last a lifetime. It'd be unreasonable at what that would cost. You know what I mean? And quite honestly, you don't want to eat those same 12 meals day after day for the rest of your life. That's where the heirloom seed kit comes in. It's the ultimate tool. It's produce for the rest of your life, for the rest of your kids' life. If you take care of it and you harvest the seed and dry it, it'll last forever. That's really that's the backbone to it. You definitely need the freeze dried food to get you through those rough months, or to get you to where a garden's going, or you know what I mean, so you can get to where you're going or get out of Dodge. Like, you need the freeze dried food. I know I kind of went in a circle there, but I would recommend at least 3 months. If that's tough, I would have at least a month for every family member.
So if we do 3 months, is that one container, or that would be 3 containers of food for a family of 4?
It's, again, I'm not hiding anything here. I don't want to lie to your audience.
Yeah.
For one adult, you need 3 containers, and we sell a 1-month combo kit. It's a breakfast, it's a entree kit, and it's a protein bucket. The proteins are extremely important in a survival situation. You can get those proteins that meat contains out of certain vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know where to get them, so that's why we've got the meat bucket there. But you need those 3 buckets to get you through for a month for one adult.
So I'm thinking for me and my husband to have a bucket, and then if we had 2 small children, they could share a bucket. So that
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, it's a survival situation. Like, go to your pantry right now and look what you got in your pantry. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be surprised at what's in there. There's probably 2-3 weeks worth of food in your pantry. Some people may have a little more. And again, if it's a survival situation, take your refrigerator and your freezer, and unless you've got a generator that you don't mind running, that stuff's going to last a couple days.
Right.
So you want to get to that first, save your pantry for once the freezer and refrigerator's gone. You've probably got 2-3 weeks in your pantry. And then that's when I'd get into the survival food as that stuff runs out. But it's one of those things, like, if it's a really bad situation, like I said, we've already got plans at our house. We've worked together as a community. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. If we can stay here, we're going to stay here. If we got to get out of Dodge, this is how we're going. But if it's bad enough, you don't want to stay where you're at. You know what I mean? So realistically, if you can get a month or 2 or 3 months, get it and get out of town to where you can get somewhere where you can sustain yourself.
And if you can only afford a little bit right now, buy 1 can or 2 cans. Like, get what you can now, and then just add to it.
Hey, we've got people that have been buying food from us. We've got a food club where we send out a new bucket of food every month. We've got people that have been buying it from us for the last 10 years.
Wow.
They've spent $150 a month, $180 a month, every month for the last 10 years. And they've got a collection now that they're good for a year or two. You know what I mean? They don't have to worry about it. Like everybody else, it's when this is going to hit, this is going to happen. Like we're going to see this. Like it's coming. It's only a matter of time. And quite honestly, I don't think the election's in November. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to not vote.
We're going to vote.
But this is too far gone to fix immediately. Like November's not going to change this. It's already happened. It's coming. Like you saw what happened in the UK. Put somebody in there that's trying to make the right decisions. See ya. Like it's too far gone to fix. So this is coming. The elections are definitely going to help, but don't think for a second that if it's a conservative sweep that we're going to fix this, because it's beyond fixable now.
And it's like insurance, like you said, Clayton. It's, you buy it, you get it, and then you're good for 25 years. You have it.
Stick it in the closet and forget about it.
That's right. And you have it. I was going to say, those people that want to control this food supply and these seeds, they hate your guts, because just you saying that about this heirloom seeds, I have so much hope. I left your factory, I don't know what you call it, storage. I left there feeling this hopefulness, and I feel it again now. Just knowing that we have these seeds, we can harvest them, we can dry them, we can replant them, we can do it again and again and again. And it makes me have hope. And that's what we should have. That's how God created it. It's like you said, it's how God created it. So thank you so much for doing that for us. And we'll pray for you to be protected, because these people are going to literally want to hurt you, because they're going to hate that you do this.
Well, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I don't advertise where my location is.
I wouldn't.
I don't have signs. Like we keep it as secret.
Yeah, it was hard for me to find you. Remember, I was calling. There's no cell phone service, and I was trying to find it. Anyway.
No, this isn't. Again, I don't like to scare people. Like I said 10 years ago, that wasn't going to be my business motto. I'm not going to do that. Like if you want to prepare and get ready, I'm more than willing to help. We've got the resources. We've got the reading material. We've got water supplies. Water's a big thing that a lot of people don't think about. I mean, you can live a week without food. You're only going to live a couple of days without water. You got to have the ability to filter water, to store water. And we've done that. Like we've got these products on our website that I've tried, I've tested, and these are the best products I can find for like that situation. I don't have 50 different kinds on there for you to choose. I've picked the one that works the best for me. And I'll be honest with you, that took customers saying that. You know what I mean? At first, I'm like, oh, let's give people some varieties. Like, hey, this one was good. This one was good. Like, you don't need that. Like, this is a survival situation. This one here works the best. If you need to filter a bottle of water, or you want something to carry, 12 ounces, buy this. If you want to filter 100 gallons of water, buy this. Like, this is the perfect pump. It doesn't require batteries. It doesn't require electricity. It's all manual. Like I said, we've put together a website that has no garbage on it. You know what I mean? This is good stuff. I'm not selling you rice and beans or drink mixes. If you want to buy rice or beans or drink mixes, I beg you, go to Walmart. Don't waste your money with me. It's unnecessary. Like these are just your meals. And I'm not saying don't buy rice and beans. You can get that and add to it, but don't buy it from me. Don't buy it from anybody else that's telling you they've got freeze-dried rice or beans. Like, go to Walmart and get it. It's much cheaper, I promise. But we've put together good meals to add to that stuff that, like I said, we eat them every day. I ate them last week when we were on our family vacation. So it's good products. They're just, I've tested them. I've tried them. I highly recommend them.
Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on here. This is awesome. And I just believe that you're going to be blessed, Clayton, for doing this and offering this to us. I know you didn't have to. I know you're passionate about it, and it has boomed, and God has blessed it. But you have other businesses, and we didn't even get to get into that. So maybe one time I'll get you to come on here and we'll just talk about business, because you're such an entrepreneur. And I think you could help men and women that want to start a business, because you're just so knowledgeable. God's gifted you in that. But I just want to tell you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this and having this business, and with the seeds and with the food, and helping save people's lives, because that's ultimately what you're doing. And so y'all go to heavensharvest.com, and we're going to put the link at the bottom of the screen. I know the guys are going to do that, and check it all out. And I'm telling you, we've ordered from other places. We've tried it from other places, not me personally, but people on my team. And I'm going to tell you, they 100,000% say Heaven's Harvest is hands down, not even in comparison, the same league with the other places. So this is the one to get. This is where you want to invest your money to save your family. So thank you so much, Clayton, for coming on. Do you want to say anything else before we leave?
Yeah, Kandiss, if for your audience right now, if they use the promo code Kandiss at checkout, we'll take 5% off their orders. And like I said, don't wait till it's too late. You know what I mean? I can't say that enough. Like, this is coming. This is going to get bad. The baby formula shortage, you remember that from 6 months ago? Guess what? It's still there. If this government doesn't care enough to like ramp up our baby formula shortage, they don't care about you either. So take care of yourself. Get ready for this.
Yeah, and 5% is a lot, because he has his stuff sold. He doesn't even have to sell it. So thank you, Clayton, for that. And that 5% will help, and it'll get you another can of food or get you more that you can order. So y'all go do that right now before he sells out of it in the next week and a half after we see this on air.
And Kandiss, like, if you're a church, call me. Churches need to have this stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
if things get bad, where do people go? To the church.
that's right.
Like, churches need to have a room of this stuff stuck away.
So all my pastor friends, that I have a ton of pastors that watch the show. So he's saying, and he'll, if you do buy in bulk like that, he may give you even more than 5%. And if you want to do that, if you'll reach out to me, I'll get Clayton with you. And so y'all can kind of talk about that to see how much mass you want to order. But I think you're exactly right. The churches definitely need to have this for the practitioners, but also for people in the community, because they're going to come to them.
But it amazes me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm shocked churches haven't put this stuff away already. You know what I mean? Like, we're waiting until it's too late, and this is gonna get bad. And I don't preach fear. I don't want to preach fear. But everything that's going on right now, this is going to get bad, and
Well,
I
your
want
heart's for
everybody
the
to be
people.
ready.
Your heart's
Like
for
I
the
said, the
people.
first place the people are coming is going to be to the church. They're going to be looking for the church to help them.
Yep. Well, your heart's for the people, Clayton. That's 100%. I know that. I know that from being with you. And I'm so thankful. I'm thankful for Heaven's Harvest. And so thank you for coming on today. Thank y'all for tuning into Jesus Skins and Babies. I can't wait to hear what y'all say about your items that you order. And y'all tell me. I want to know all about it. And y'all hunters, y'all get them fast, and y'all tell me how y'all like it. I love you. God loves you. God bless America. Have a wonderful day.